Good day, ma'am. In this video, I'm going to conduct an activity entitled Bipolar Junction Transistor or BJT Familiarization and Testing. The objectives of this activity is to be familiar with the different types of BJT and to determine whether the BJT is NPN or PNP. The materials required in this activity are the following: digital or analog multi-tester, a 9012 transistor, a 9013 transistor, breadboard, pen, and paper. But first, what is BJT? Bipolar junction transistor is a three-terminal semiconductor device. It is made up of P and N junction diodes fused together forming three layers: the base, collector, and emitter. The first step in the transistor test is to identify the terminals base, emitter, and collector of the transistor. You need to mark the terminals of the transistor with numbers 1, 2, and 3. In order to do that, hold the transistor's flat side or put the transistor's flat side in the breadboard and assign 1, 2, and 3 from left to right respectively. Put the multimeter in diode test mode and place black probe and red probe in any terminals at a time. Test all possible terminal combination: 1 and 2, 1 and 3, 2 and 1, 2 and 3, 3 and 1, and 3 and 2. On the left side is the 9013 transistor, and on the right side is the 9012 transistor, with the black probe in the first and number 1 and the red probe on number 2. It is at 0.574 volts. For the 1 and 3 combination, 1 on the black probe and 3 is in the red probe. It is at 0 L. For the 2 and 1 combination, probe and 1 is the red probe, it is at 0L. And for the 3 and 2 combination, 3 is the black probe and 2 is the red probe. Again, it is 0L. Two of these combinations should pass the diode test. The common terminal in these two combinations is the base terminal. In the 9013 transistor, 1 and 2 and 3 and 2 combinations pass the diode test. 2 is the common terminal, therefore 2 is the base terminal. In the 9012 transistor, 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 combinations pass the diode test, therefore 2 is the common and the base terminal. With the successful identification of the base terminal, 2 terminals 1 and 3 remain unknown. If you identify the second terminal, subsequently you will also know the third terminal. In finding the first and the third terminal, set the multimeter in the diode test mode. Record the voltage reading of the base terminal with both terminals 1 and 3, one by one. The terminal with having a higher voltage between the two is the emitter. The terminal with the lower voltage on the other hand compared to the other is the collector. In the 9013 transistor and with the combination of 1 and 2, 0.574 volts is recorded. In the 3 and 2 combination on the other hand is recorded at 0.572 volts. Therefore, the one with the higher voltage is the combination 1 and 2, and the one with the lower voltage is the combination 3 and 2. Knowing 2 as the base terminal, therefore 1 is the emitter and 3 is the collector. In the 9012 transistor, and with the combination of 2 and 1, 0.592 volts were recorded. In the combination 2 and 3, 0.589 volts was recorded. The one with the higher voltage is the 2 and 1 combination, while the one with the lower voltage is the 2 and 3 combination. Knowing 2 as the base terminal in the 9012 transistor, therefore 1 is the emitter terminal and 3 is the collector terminal of the said transistor. Both of the transistors 9012 and 9013 have terminals 1 as the emitter, terminal 2 as the base, and terminal 3 as the collector. Next is to find whether the bipolar junction transistor is NPN or PNP. For NPN test, put the multimeter in diode test mode. Connect the black probe with the emitter and collector and the red probe with the base terminal. If these both combination pass the diode test, the transistor is NPN. So I'm going to check whether the 9013 transistor is NPN transistor. Okay, I'm going to put the black probe with the emitter and the red probe to the base. Okay, it is at 0.574 volts. I'm connecting the red probe in the base terminal and the black probe in the collector terminal of 9013. It is at 0.572 volts. The combinations of the base terminal and the emitter terminal along with the base terminal and the collector terminal pass the diode test. Therefore, the S9013 transistor is an NPN transistor. Checking the 9012 transistor on the other hand with the combination of 2-1 and 2-3, putting the red probe in the middle and the black probe in the emitter terminal, it is at 0L. Putting again the red probe on the base terminal and the black probe on the collector terminal, also it is at 0L. These combinations of the 9012 transistor do not pass the diode test. Therefore, the S9012 transistor is not an NPN transistor. For the PNP test, PNP transistor test is a little different than the NPN transistor test. Put the multimeter in the diode test mode, connect the black or the common probe with the base and the red probe with the emitter and collector one at a time. If these both combination pass the diode test, the transistor is NPN. I would check the 9013 transistor, putting the black probe on the base and the red probe on the collector emitter part or the emitter terminal 0L was recorded. The combination of base and collector terminal is also 0L. Therefore, 9013 transistor is not PNP. Let us check the 9012 transistor. Putting the black probe on the middle, in the middle, and the red probe on the emitter terminal of the transistor, 0.592 volts was recorded. On the other hand, the combination of the base terminal put within the black probe and the collector terminal is the red probe, 0.589 volts was recorded. The combination of the two passes the diode test. Therefore, the 9012 transistor is an PNP transistor. However, if you don't know the terminals of the transistor, check all 6 possible combinations of the terminals for diode test. If the common terminal in these 2 combinations is connected to the black or the common probe of the multimeter, the transistor is PNP. However, if the common terminal in these 2 combinations is connected to the red one or the positive probe of the multimeter, the transistor is an NPN BJT transistor. Based on what I have collected a while back, checking all the 6 possible combinations in both 9013 transistor and 9012 transistor, and with the combination of 1 and 2 and 3 and 2 for 9013, the common terminal of this is in the red probe. Therefore, the 9013 transistor is an NPN BJT. On the other hand, in 9012 transistor and with the combination of 2 and 1 and 2 and 3, the common terminal in these 2 combinations is connected in the black probe. Therefore, it is a PNP transistor. Lastly, testing the transistor whether it's good or damaged. These transistor tests help us in identifying if the transistor is good or damaged. Set the multimeter in the diode test mode and test all the possible combination for the diode test. Note down the reading for each combination. If the combination satisfies or if the transistor satisfies the readings given in the chart presented, therefore the transistor is good. For NPN transistor, if the multimeter positive probe is connected to the cathode and the negative probe is connected to the anode, then it will show voltage. If the connections are interchanged, it will not show any value. For the 9012 transistor, the anode is the base terminal and the cathode is the emitter and collector terminal. Testing my 39013 transistor, putting the red probe in the base terminal and the black probe and the emitter and collector terminal. Voltage were recorded, and the second 9013 transistor that I have connecting the red probe and the base terminal and the black probe and the emitter and the collector terminals, voltage were recorded. Therefore, this 9013 transistor of mine is good. Checking my third 9013 transistor with the same procedure. Voltage were also recorded. Therefore, all three of my 9013 transistor is good and working. For PNP transistor, if the multimeter positive probe is connected to anode and negative probe is connected to cathode, then it will show voltage. If the connections are interchanged, it will not show any value. For PNP transistor, the anode or the positive one is the emitter and collector. And on the other hand, the base terminal is the negative terminal or the cathode. So, putting the positive probe on the anode and checking my 9012 transistor, putting the black probe on the base terminal and red probe on the emitter terminal, voltage were recorded. For the base terminal and the collector terminal, voltage were recorded. Checking my other I'm going to check my other two 9012 transistor with the same procedure, putting the black probe on the middle or the base terminal and the red probe on the emitter terminal. Voltage were recorded. And the collector terminal, the same. Voltage were recorded. Checking my third 9012 transistor with the same procedure. For the other one. Therefore, three of my 9012 transistor passed the diode test. Therefore, my three 9012 transistor are good. If the readings don't match with the chart presented, the transistor is also damaged and need to be replaced. Or if the readings show no value following correctly all the procedures, there is a need to change or replace the damaged transistor. To sum it up, bipolar junction transistor is made up of P and N junction diodes fused together, forming three layers known as the base, emitter, and collector. On both of the 9013 and 9012 transistor, the first terminal is the emitter, the second terminal or the middle one is the base terminal, and the last terminal, counting from the right flat side towards you, is the collector terminal. The 9013 transistor, based on the data I have collected using my digital multimeter, is an NPN transistor. On the other hand, the 9012 transistor is a PNP transistor. The positive material of the 9013 transistor is the base material or the anode, and the emitter and collector of the 9013 transistor is the cathode one or the negative material. On the other hand, the 9012 transistor, the base terminal is the negative or the cathode, and the emitter and collector is the positive or the anode or the positive material of the transistor. All of my transistors are in working conditions or good, and it passed the diode test. Two combinations of these transistors, both of the transistors passed the diode test.